Space smelled like old coffee and ozone. Or maybe that was just Commander Zara Koresh's command deck. Zara sat cross-legged in her chair, balancing a lukewarm mug of chai on one knee, watching the holographic message from the Zarkilian Empire loop for the third time. To the honorable species of Earth, we, the Zarkilian High Consulate, have observed your primitive technology, your squabbling government, and your unfortunate attachment to combustion engines. We extend our galactic pity and a diplomatic invitation to witness what true civilization looks like. The message ended with a high-pitched synth chord and a puff of glittery mist that looked like a rejected screensaver from 1997. Well, said Zara, blowing on her tea, at least they're consistent, arrogant, sparkly, and smug. Across the bridge, Lieutenant Marcos didn't look up from his tablet. He was busy scrolling through a meme archive titled Aliens Think They're Special. They call our nukes primitive, he muttered, but I'd love to see them survive Taco Bell after midnight. Pilot Reggie spun around in his chair. I mean, do they even have tacos? No tacos, no culture. That's the rule. Dr. Anjali Kapoor, linguist and part-time hobbyist in ancient memes, adjusted her glasses and chimed in. They use the term ape-descendant combustion tribe. That's new. I had to Google the last part. They are just mad we didn't RSVP to the last 8 galactic summits, Zara said with a smirk. Also, we beat them to Mars. And then we named our base Amosa, one. That really got under their translucent skin. She set her mug down and stood, stretching in her dark navy uniform. The Earth insignia on her sleeve caught the light, an outdated symbol in a galaxy that had long stopped believing Earth even existed. Not that it mattered. Earth's greatest strength was always being the punchline. Okay, she said, let's pretend to care. Open a reply channel. Let's send a message. Marcos raised an eyebrow. In what language? Zara grinned. Urdu. Reggie laughed. Seriously. Dr. Kapoor raised a hand. Their translate to AI doesn't handle poetic syntax well. Urdu is basically a lyrical landmine. Zara nodded. Perfect. The camera popped out of the dashboard like a curious eye. Zara leaned forward and began. Salam. Hum yer pegam shukriya kesaf kabul karhain. Lekin yad rakia. Insan wo makluk hai jo samajani sapil dagadita hai. She smiled sweetly into the lens, paused, and finished with, Miltihain Jaldi, Chai Te Rakyaga. The camera clicked off. Marcos blinked. Translation. Zara shrugged. Roughly. Thanks. And remember, humans shoot before they understand. Keep the tea warm. Kapoor leaned over her console. Okay, now watch this. The Zarkilian message node lit up. Blue lights flickered erratically. Their server tried to interpret the reply, and failed. Twice. Then it sparked, buzzed, and let out what sounded like a digital cough. Zara could almost hear the translator AI whisper, Nope, before it imploded into static. Did we just crash a galactic language AI with poetic sarcasm? Reggie asked, grinning. Yup. Marcos confirmed. Our ancestors would be proud. The room fell into a brief silence as Earth's orbital fleet hung above a pale blue dot below, waiting for what came next. The Zarkilians replied 2 hours later. This time, the message was clearer, crisper, and slightly more aggressive. Despite your linguistic irregularities, we formally invite your representative team aboard the Zarkelos Prime, our flagship, for a diplomatic evaluation and potential cultural rehabilitation. Attendance is mandatory. Cultural rehabilitation. Kapoor asked, Are we being colonized or judged on a cooking show? Marcos leaned back, putting his boots on the console. Sounds like they want to show off their laser toasters and quantum toilets. Reggie tapped the nav console. Flagship coordinates received. Wave 2 jumps out. Should we pack anything? Zara nodded. Yes, a railgun, and a copy of The Art of War. Also, bring the Urdu poetry database. You planning to confuse them to death? Kapoor asked. I'm planning to annoy them to death, Zara replied. But confusion is plan B. The crew chuckled. Earth's first contact missions had always been a mess. The difference now was they liked it that way. Let the aliens flex their technology and recite their superior philosophies. Humans had their own secret weapon. They knew they were underestimated, and they used it every time. Zara walked to the viewport, watching the stars glitter like the inside of a disco ball from 1978. Somewhere out there, an empire thought they were dealing with backward, combustible fools. She sipped her now-cold chai and muttered, "Let them keep thinking that." Behind her, Marcos queued up a playlist titled Songs to Conquer Empires by, and the soft notes of Bohemian Rhapsody drifted through the ship. "Commander," Reggie said, eyes still on the navigation. "Permission to jump to Zarkello's Prime." Zara nodded once. "Jump. Let's go confuse the hell out of them." The Zarkello's Prime hung in orbit like a crystal chandelier that had mated with a planet and then overdosed on ego. Zara Qureshi stared out the viewport of the human ship ISS Samosa 1, eyes half-lidded. Why does their flagship look like a luxury mall from Dubai in the year 5000? Reggie asked, shielding his eyes from the blinding hull. "I'm getting laser tan lines through the glass." Because, Marcos said, chewing a protein bar like it had personally wronged him, these guys think aesthetics equal superiority. It's all sparkles and chrome and unnecessarily deep voice modulation. They did install an echo system to enhance dramatic pauses, Kapoor added, reviewing the briefing notes. Each hallway echoes for exactly 3.2 seconds. It's a design choice. Zara smirked. "Good. Let's match their energy. Reggie, land us dramatically." "You want flair or sarcasm?" "Surprise me." Cue dramatic entrance. The docking bay doors opened in slow motion, literally. The aliens had programmed it that way for emotional resonance. A fog machine kicked in, spilling silver mist across the deck as a human stepped out, backlit like some weird boy band reunion. A Zarkilian official approached, oozing smugness and the faint scent of citrus. His skin shimmered like wet pearl. His nose was long enough to vote, and his ceremonial robe glowed with embedded nanotech that spelled welcome, inferiors in galactic calligraphy. "Ah, the Earth delegation," he announced with a tone that could wrinkle iron. "Do you speak Standard Galactic?" Zara answered in flawless Urdu. "Nine, Lekin Chai Piliens to Samaz Jagar." The translator AI hesitated, then coughed, then translated. "No, but offer us tea and we might understand eventually." The Zarkilian official blinked twice, unsure if he was being mocked. He continued anyway. "I am Envoy Creoltac of the High Zarkilian Conclave. Please, follow me to the Hall of Supremacy." "Sounds cozy," Marcos muttered. They were led through corridors lined with statues of Zarkilian conquerors in increasingly absurd battle poses. One was kicking a moon in half. Another was wrestling a sentient volcano. One statue just showed a Zarkilian flexing at his own reflection. Kapoor nudged Zara. "They're really committed to this whole, we're the best thing." Zara nodded. "Let them show off. It's their favorite hobby." They entered a massive auditorium, a cross between the UN General Assembly and a Vegas stage show. Light sparkled overhead. A 200-foot hologram of the Zarkilian Emperor loomed over them, shirtless for some reason. Creoltac spread his arms. "Behold, the height of civilization." A show began. Literally. First, the aliens demonstrated their quantum warp lattice shields, designed to deflect any energy-based attack. They fired a concentrated energy beam at the shield, which ricocheted perfectly into a hologram of a comet, vaporizing it. There was applause. The shield shimmered like a rave on ketamine. Next, the neurofusion disintegrator, a weapon that could, allegedly, erase thought before it becomes intent. Zara leaned toward Marcos. "So, Twitter?" He snorted. Then came the AI demonstration. The mind that cooks, a sentient culinary assistant that could prepare meals based on emotional traumas. Kupo asked for something comforting. It produced a steaming bowl of dal chawal and said, "Because your father never said he was proud." "Creepy but accurate," Kupo whispered. The final display was a high-speed maneuver by Zarkilian drones, forming their emperor's face midair and singing the Zarkilian anthem in 7-part harmony. The humans applauded politely. "Well," Zara said, "that was extra." Creoltac toned. Smugness turned up to 11. "Your minds must be overwhelmed. Tell us, do you have such technology on Earth?" Zara nodded solemnly. Yes, we call it PowerPoint. Kapoor added, we also have a toaster that can burn your face onto bread. Very efficient. Creeltak twitched. You jest, but we see through your sarcasm. You must understand. We offer you this tool to prepare your minds for integration. Earth will benefit under Zarkelian guidance. Zara tilted her head. Do you always announce your invasions with interpretive dance? Creeltak blinked. We are not invading. We are enlightening. Reggie whispered. Enlightenment with lasers. Classy. Creeltak gestured for them to follow to a diplomatic lounge. Golden floors, floating chairs, scented air. Zara refused a seat, choosing instead to wander toward a large metallic wall carved with Zarkelian script. Kapoor scanned the wall. Looks like they're shield schematics. They etched it here like a brag. I'm already noticing gaps in coverage frequency. Zara pulled out a stylus. You think they'll notice if I leave them a message? In what language? Marcos asked. Zara grinned. She scribbled in flowing Urdu script. Yes, sir, Shuruat High, rule number 1 Yad Rako. Kapoor read it aloud, smiling. This is just beginning. Remember rule number 1. Reggie scratched his head. Wait, what is rule number 1? Zara sipped the juice the AI chef handed her. Simple. Don't mess with a species that beat extinction by punching meteors and inventing sarcasm. As they headed back to their shuttle, the Zarkelians watched them with the smug confidence of a lion watching an antelope trip over its shoelaces. Let them keep showing off, Zara muttered. We'll show up when it counts. Behind them, the Urdu message glowed softly, unnoticed by alien eyes, but now embedded in the walls of the galaxy's most arrogant empire. War was officially declared at 0300 Galactic Standard Time, sandwiched between the Zarkelian breakfast announcement and a strongly worded poem broadcast in 5 dialects of smug. Zara Qureshi sat at the command chair of Samosa One, lazily sipping fresh chai while orbital alarms blared like over-enthusiastic vuvuzelas. Let me guess, she said. They didn't like the message we left in Urdu. Kapoor nodded, eyes on the translation from Zarkelos Prime. This affront to our intelligence shall be answered with cleansing fire. That's poetic. I give it a 6 out of 10. Are they attacking yet? Marcos asked, scrolling through tactical updates like he was bored of the DMV. Reggie chimed in from nav control. Not yet. They are forming an attack formation, just taking forever about it. Honestly, I've seen synchronized swimming with more urgency. Outside, the Zarkelian fleet shimmered into position. Their sleek, curved cruisers glowed like angry glow sticks, energy shields pulsing dramatically. They hovered in elegant, perfectly symmetrical formations that screamed we spent too much on consultants. On screen, the Zarkelian commander, Admiral Lexar, appeared, gleaming armor, unnecessarily large shoulder pads, and that trademark tone of alien condescension. Humans, you have been given every opportunity to submit peacefully. Your refusal seals your fate. Brace for annihilation. This will be swift and elegant. Zara raised a hand. Hold on. Can I just, real quick, request you don't blow us up before breakfast? Admiral Lexar blinked. You dare mock us at the precipice of your extinction. Not mocking, she said. Just stalling. You know, classic ape descendant behavior. Fine. Fire, Exar growled. The Zarkelian ships lit up. 30 synchronized beams of blazing energy surged towards Samosa One. The rest of the Earth ships, oddly shaped, rust-colored, and unapologetically industrial, floated nearby like a scrapyard parade. Zarkelian beams struck the human shields, which promptly failed. Oh no, Reggie said in a deadpan tone. Our shields. The thing we never really cared about. Whatever shall we do? The Zarkelians cheered. On their end, it looked like Earth's flagship had just taken a direct hit. Except, it didn't explode. Instead, the ship rotated slowly, deliberately, showing its underbelly. Deploy slingshot batteries, Zara ordered. Marcos looked up from his console. Kinetic option. Zara grinned. Oh, let's ruin their day. The Zarkelians paused mid-glow to strange compartments opened on Samosa One. Instead of glowing crystals or hyperspace disruptors, they saw tubes, metal, spinning. Tubes, rail guns, a dozen of them, primitive projectile launchers. Admiral Exile laughed. You bring slingshots to a plasma war. Reggie hit the trigger. Boom! A tungsten rod, 1 meter long and shaped like an exclamation point, shot from the railgun at Mach 27. It crossed the void in seconds and smashed into the lead Zarkelian ship. Shields flared, and then ripped open like tinfoil. The rod punched through the ship's core, ignited the fuel chamber, and split the cruiser in half. The silence on the Zarkelian bridge was so intense that Holopet stopped floating. Zara sipped her chai again. Hey! Weird. I thought your shield were impenetrable, duh. Kapoor chimed in. They deflect energy, but not mass. Marcos tapped the console. We're using physics. Newton sends his regards. Fire second volley, Zara said, casually. More rods launched. 1, 2, 4, 10. Zarkelian ships scrambled, but their symmetrical formations actually made it easier to hit them. One rod clipped 2 cruisers at once. Another shattered a communications array. One hit a shield generator so hard, it dislocated in time. On screen, Admiral Exar appeared again, smoke and sparks behind him. Your technology is illegal by galactic war codes. Yeah, Zara said. Well, we never signed those. It doesn't do subscription models. Kapoor leaned into the MIC. Hey, just FYI, our kinetic weapons are made from recycled scrap metal and bits of your old satellite you left in our orbit. Thanks for the donation. Exar roared, flinging something off-screen. Behind him, his crew shouted in panic. Ships began to break formation. Emergency lights spun like disco balls. Commander, Marcos said, grinning, should I tell them what rule number 1 is? Zara gave a theatrical shrug. They'll figure it out. Earth's fleet moved in. Each ship, while visually unimpressive, covered in rust, wires, and what looked like duct tape, carried railguns, coil guns, kinetic missiles, and one experimental weapon called a chunk. Kapoor fired it. The chunk, essentially a chunk of rogue asteroid strapped with steel rebar and hate, was slow but terrifying. It hit the Zarkelian dreadnought and turned it into memorial sculpture. By hour 2, half the Zarkelian fleet was disabled or in retreat. Their shields, elegant and energy-focused, were laughably unprepared for good old-fashioned earth violence. They underestimated us, Reggie said. They always do, Zara replied. It's our unofficial anthem. Exar's face popped up again, now pale, smoky, and twitching. You're monsters. Thanks, Zara said. We try. Why didn't you develop energy weapons like the rest of the galaxy? Zara smiled. Because we watched Star Wars and learned energy shields block lasers, not rocks. Behind her, Samosa 1 rotated again. More railguns primed. You forgot rule number 1, Exar. What rule? Zara leaned forward, voice smooth. Never mess with a species that invented warfare before agriculture. Boom. The battle of Zarkelo's orbit ended not with a bang, but with a whimper. A very shiny, very humiliated whimper. What was left of the Zarkelian fleet limped away. Trails of smoke, fractured pride, and spark-spitting plasma exhaust in their wake. Their dreadnoughts were scrap metal, their flagships were missing limbs, and their cruisers now resembled half-eaten sandwiches. Zara Qureshi leaned back in her chair on the bridge of ISS Samosa 1, legs crossed, chai steaming beside her. Across the room, Kapoor read out the incoming messages. Okay, first up, the Glorblacks Consortium wants to open trade talks immediately and share fruit-based desserts. Also, the Zenthari Council has reclassified humans from Category 9, mild curiosity, to Category 2, avoid and less suicidal. Reggie grinned. Promotion. I knew this gig would pay off. Zara stretched. What about the Zarkelians? Kapoor cleared his throat dramatically. To the honorable warriors of Earth, we, the Zarkelian Conclave, extend our unconditional surrender, our deepest apologies, and several gift baskets of molecular cheeses. Please do not hit us again. Reggie fist-pumped. Cheese victory. That's the best kind. A holo transmission blinked into view. Admiral Exar appeared, alive but thoroughly deglorified. His hair was singed, his ceremonial armor was missing half its pieces, and his voice no longer carried the weight of arrogance, just dread. "Commander Qureshi, I misjudge your people." Zara sipped her chai. "You don't say." "We assumed your lack of advanced energy tech was a sign of inferiority." "Well," she said, shrugging, "we assumed your love of glowing robes and echoey speeches meant you were compensating for something." Kabor coughed. Marcos muttered, "Probably shield efficiency." "Why didn't you develop plasma arrays or phase weaponry like the rest of the galaxy?" Zara leaned in, calm as a Sunday morning hangover. "Because we know how the galaxy works. It builds fancy toys and forgets how war actually works. We stayed primitive, on purpose." Exthar blinked. "You planned this." "Of course we did," she said. "That's rule number 1. "What's rule number 1 again?" Kapoor held up a whiteboard that read in block Urdu. "Kabi kisi insan ko kamza matsamajna. Never underestimate a human." Zara grinned. "You see, Admiral, while the rest of you were polishing your death rays, we perfected the art of low expectations. Our ships look like junkyards. Our weapons look like scrap. Our tech looks like it was built in someone's garage, because it was." Reggie added, "But we Earth, we invented duct tape, spite, and nuclear bombs before color TV. Kapoor, we weaponized caffeine. Marcos, and sarcasm." Admiral Exthar slumped. "You played us." "You played yourself," Zara replied. "We just didn't correct you." Exthar's image faded as diplomatic lines flooded Earth systems. Every minor empire, warlord syndicate, and trade cartel wanted to talk. Suddenly, Earth was the hottest property in the galaxy. Everyone wanted a piece of primitive kinetic supremacy. Even the Klingrax Coalition, a species previously convinced humans were cute, violent mammals, sent a bouquet of laser-scented orchids and an awkward message. "Hi, we may have accidentally called you space raccoons in a previous memo. Our bad. Want to co-develop a space station." Kapoor chuckled. "You know what this means, right?" Zara nodded. "We're going to need a lot more railguns." Asterisk. A week later, a press conference was held on Lunar Base, Earth's new diplomatic capital. The holograms of 50 alien species flickered across the auditorium, each eager to understand how humans had done the impossible with inferior tech. Zara took the podium, flanked by Kapoor, Reggie, and Marcos. She cleared her throat. "Good evening, esteemed galactic representatives. Thank you for not trying to vaporize us this week. Much appreciated." There was polite chuckling. From the back, a Blanati ambassador burst into nervous bubbles. Zara continued, "You're wondering how we defeated the Zarkilians, how we broke through impenetrable shields and dismantled a fleet that has terrorized systems for centuries." She held up a rusty steel rod. "This," she said, "is called a tungsten slug. It costs 17 Earth dollars to make. It weighs 5 kilograms and travels at Mach 27. Your energy shields? Don't care. Your advanced armor? Laughable. Your fancy AI battle tactics? Please." She dropped the slug on the podium with a heavy thud. "See, you forgot the most important lesson in warfare. Sometimes brute force actually works, especially when it's delivered with a side of sarcasm and zero warning." A Harnack diplomat raised a limb. "But why not evolve like the rest of the galaxy? Why cling to primitive tools?" Zara looked around the room. "Because you all evolved past fear, past creativity, past improvisation. You built systems so flawless, you forgot how to adapt. We, on the other hand, are a walking paradox. We crash test jet engines with chickens, name our military vehicles after animals that don't exist anymore, and build weapons because we can, not because we should." A beat of silence. "We are chaos, and chaos wins." Asterisk. Back aboard Samosa 1, hours later, the team gathered for dinner. Rehydrated biryani, spice and noodles, and one truly suspicious gelatin cube from the Glorblex. Zara watched the message come in. Encrypted, Earth-coded, high clearance. She opened it. A single sentence appeared. They are not ready for Project Pataki yet, but soon. Zara raised an eyebrow. Kapoor leaned over. "Another secret." Zara smiled. Oh, just a gentle reminder. Today we use slingshots. Tomorrow, maybe something bigger. Reggie grinned. You mean the orbital chai cannon? No, she said. The one we buried under Antarctica in 2079. Marcos blinked. Wait, that thing. Zara nodded. Yep, rule number 2. Reggie, there's a rule number 2. Kapoor chuckled. Always have something scary in your back pocket. Zara clinked her cup. To Earth, the galaxy's least predictable species. Reggie raised his glass. And proud of it. Kapoor added, let chaos reign. The lights dimmed as Earth's anthem played in the background. It wasn't official. It was just the MacGyver theme.